Broadcasting live from WOUB TV in Athens, this is Newswatch.
Good evening, I'm Ben Schwartz. Thank you for joining us. Cold and rainy was the story for most of the day, and now a chance of snow overnight in the region. Let's head over to the Weather Center where Jake Niederbauer has the forecast.
Thanks, Ben. For today, we just had a cold, damp, and dreary day across southeast Ohio as we had a little freezing rain this morning to start out our day, but it wasn't as much accumulation as areas around Cincinnati and Columbus. But overall, the rain did stick around for most of the day, and it's still sticking around right now. Currently in Athens, it is 35 degrees outside with showers still sticking around, and it is that cold rain as we have winds out of the east-southeast at 0 to 5 miles per hour. Looking currently around the region, we're in the lower 30s to upper 20s across the region, so it'll still stay cold throughout the night and maybe possibly into, as we see into tonight, we got 29 in Athens, 28 in Columbus, 30 in Ironton, and 31 in Ripley. And later on tonight, as those temperatures cool down, we might get a little change over to a snow shower. We might get a chance of a snow showers here later tonight, but it shouldn't be much accumulation here, Ben.
Thank you, Jake. Two Ohio University graduate students have reached a settlement with the university after alleging last year that an English professor sexually harassed them. The two students, Christine Adams and Susanna Hempstead, filed a lawsuit against the university in March of last year, alleging Title IX violations by the university, among others. The university announced yesterday that Adams and Hempstead were awarded $335,000 each in the settlement. Two people were in court today in connection with the massacre of the Roden family in Pike County. Frederica Wagner and Rita Newcomb pled not guilty during their court hearing. Both face felony charges of obstructing justice and perjury. The 65-year-old Newcomb is also charged with forgery. Police on Tuesday arrested a family of 4 in the slayings of 8 members of another family in rural Ohio 2 years ago. Those arrested, 47-year-old George Billy Wagner II, his wife 48-year-old Angela Wagner, and their sons 27-year-old George Wagner and 26-year-old Edward Wagner. George Billy Wagner was extradited yesterday in court. An Ohio prosecutor says no one will face criminal charges after a 16-year-old died while trapped in a minivan. Both the Hamilton County Prosecutor's Office and the City of Cincinnati reviewed police investigations. The father found his son dead, pinned in the minivan's rear back in April. It was nearly 6 hours after the first call of the boy's 2 911 calls. Happening right now in Cleveland, a candlelight vigil for a reporter shot and killed by a family member. Police are investigating the suspected murder-suicide involving reporter Nicole DeLamont. Police say DeLamont was shot 3 times Sunday night or Monday morning. The incident occurred in Perrysburg Township, Ohio, at a mobile home park. Police believe Robert DeLamont, her uncle, shot her and then shot himself.
Tracking down why, seeing if we can come up with a reason, a motive for what happened. Obviously that would be our ultimate goal, and not sure if it will happen, but we would like to have some closure for the family.
Nicole DeLamont was an arts and culture reporter for Cleveland.com. A West Virginia man will spend the rest of his life in jail for sexually assaulting 2 young boys. A West Virginia judge sentenced Jeffrey Thomas Phipps to over 160 years to 665 years in jail. Phipps sexually abused 2 brothers, now ages 6 and 10, in 2016 and 2017. The boys testified about sex acts during a 4-day trial. Phipps abused the boys while their mother was living at a Charleston home owned by a woman in Phipps's care. Ohio State's investigation into a former team doctor accused of sexual misconduct may wrap up by the end of the year. The law firm says it hopes to have its fact-finding done by 2019. The investigators say 150 former students have given first-hand accounts of alleged sexual misconduct by the now-deceased doctor. The law firm says the allegations against Richard Strauss cover a time from 1979 through 1997. Strauss died by suicide in 2005. Ohio University's Schoonover Center was filled with students last night to hear Marionette Pember, a Native American and award-winning journalist who has covered sexual assault in the Native community for most of her career. Pember spoke for over an hour on a wide range of issues regarding sexual assault in her community and the rest of the country, including advice for journalists covering similar topics. Her advice included some criticisms of the mainstream press, saying that it's not always best to cover the most egregious stories.
I don't know how much more useful it is to hear these like really egregious stories and report the worst of the worst, and people, the mainstream press really just gravitates towards that, and I don't really know how much that elevates the discussion, and as I said, brings it forward. It's got to be about that for me.
Pember is a member of the Native American Ojibwa tribe, which spans throughout Wisconsin and into Canada. She currently works as a freelance journalist out of Cincinnati. 2 lawmakers are proposing a ban of free speech zones for protests and demonstrations at Ohio public colleges. The 2 Republicans say it's aimed at protecting free speech. Representative Niraj Antani argues the use of free speech zones actually restricts speech and unfairly limits students expressing views that are conservative and anti-abortion. Conservative advocacy groups have challenged the use of such zones, citing First Amendment rights. Similar proposals to block campuses from designating such areas have popped up at legislatures around the nation, including this year in Florida and Kansas. And Ohio lawmakers are considering stand your ground gun legislation in the House right now. It would eliminate a requirement to retreat in confrontations before using deadly force. The GOP-controlled House voted 64-26 Wednesday in favor of the bill. The supermajority is large enough to override Republican Governor John Kasich's expected veto. Backers say the bill puts Ohio in line with about 35 other states. The legislation goes next to the Senate. Coming up, a new group is forming to oppose President Trump, and one of the leaders has a surprising connection to the president. Plus, wildfires continue to spread across California. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
This is what we've all been waiting for. The postseason is finally here. Many teams that made it this far are ready to rock.
Yeah, it's win or go home for the guys on the gridiron, but Gridiron Glory still has a few more weeks before we end our season.
Yeah, we'll have you covered through week 13, and there's still football to be played until then.
Our social media team will have you covered. Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, and YouTube content will keep you up to date.
So, through all the excitement, remember there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
This is a box that showed you a world beyond your own. It was just a box, but the world has changed, and so have we. And now the box can be almost any size or shape. And you decide what you want to explore. Anytime, any place. Break out of the box with PBS.
I'm such a huge fan of PBS. For my entire life, it's been our window into a world of the arts that isn't available anywhere else on TV. We learn about our numbers and our letters and singing through music, through the incredible children's programming they have. And then we grow up and we get to see the world of the arts, whether it's ballet or opera or Broadway, and so many other amazing moments that you wouldn't get anywhere else except for PBS.
I loved Ken Burns' series on the Civil War. It was deeply impacting. I love history. To have those stories told through these letters, through stories of love and loss, it rewrote the book on how to tell a story. When television was invented, there were a lot of people who had dreams about what it could do. I think PBS still aspires for and often succeeds at reaching the highest ideals of what television could be.
President Donald Trump is facing opposition from a newly formed group of conservative lawyers. Brian Todd has the details.
Tonight, the latest challengers of President Trump, coming from the most unlikely corner of the political spectrum. Conservatives he once considered his friends and allies. Called Checks and Balances, the new group is made up of influential conservative lawyers who say they are fed up with President Trump and determined to be a thorn in his side on constitutional issues.
The president's efforts to undermine the rule of law need to be called out.
What may be even more shocking is not that it was founded by conservatives, but that the group's founder and the person most likely to be the biggest thorn in Trump's side is married to someone who works within spitting distance of the White House Rose Garden. George Conway, The husband of Trump confidant and counselor Kellyanne Conway founded the group overnight after serving as a check on and a blistering critic of Trump on his own. Conway has hammered Trump on Twitter, once tweeting that the country needs a, quote, president capable of comprehending the law, and has written op-eds calling out the president, including one in the New York Times, saying Trump's, quote, installation of Matthew Whitaker as acting attorney general is unconstitutional. It's illegal. The White House hasn't commented on the formation of checks and balances, but President Trump lashed out at George Conway on Friday.
You mean Mr. Kellyanne Conway?
He wrote that you were unconstitutionally appointing him. He's wrong.
He's just trying to get publicity for himself.
Conway may have founded Checks and Balances, but the group includes 13 other prominent conservative lawyers, such as former Homeland Security Secretary Tom Ridge, who says he's fed up with Trump's attacks on the media.
There are countries in the world that don't have freedom of the press, but I don't want to live in China, Russia, or Iran.
CNN legal analyst Carrie Cordero, who is also a member, says Trump is trying to misuse the Department of Justice.
Law enforcement should be nonpartisan, not politically motivated.
The group says it will speak out and fight back whenever Trump attacks an institution it feels should be protected. At the top of the list tonight, Cordero says the group believes it was a dangerous move by the president to appoint an acting attorney general who once said special counsel Robert Mueller could be fired. And these lawyers are incensed that Trump attacked the Justice Department for indicting 2 Republican congressmen before the midterms.
He has indicated an intent to influence prosecutions of individuals for political purpose. That is absolutely anathema to the way that law enforcement is supposed to take place.
But will the group, even with the help of the husband of one of Trump's top aides, move conservative politicians and voters away from Donald Trump? Some say probably not.
That seems like it's a real stretch. Right now, it's still Trump's GOP, and you can't change that in the short term.
In a recent ABC News interview, Kellyanne Conway says her political differences with her husband are irrelevant. While Donald Trump deals with opposition, it's still not clear if he will have a Republican opponent for the 2020 primaries. Ohio Governor John Kasich still doesn't know if he will run for president in 2020. Kasich visited New Hampshire today. When asked why he made the visit, he says it's because he thought it was a cool opportunity to talk to the press. When someone pressed him about a 2020 run, he did not have a definite answer. Kasich's term as Ohio governor ends this year. Republican Governor-elect Mike DeWine will take over the position. The search for victims in the deadly California wildfires continue as firefighters continue to control the blaze.
460 rescue workers and
that story's still ahead.
Comb through debris, searching for human remains. As families are left to wonder whether they'll have a home.
Right. Up next, I'll give you the timing of snow showers in our forecast tonight, and I'll give a first look at our Thanksgiving forecast, and I'll look at the next 7 days right here ahead on next on Newswatch.
WOUB is member-supported public television. Your contribution keeps WOUB available in your community. Become a member with a gift of $60 or more for access to stream more than 1,000 of your favorite PBS programs through WOUB Passport. Programs like Nature, Sherlock, and all episodes of Downton Abbey and Victoria. Pledge now at WOUB.org. And thank you.
I love PBS because at the heart of everything PBS does is education.
I use PBS not only in my home, but also in my classroom.
It's kind of the idea of being the great equalizer for learning and for education.
I'm a lifelong learner, and PBS has always been part of that journey for me.
I love PBS because PBS supports teachers.
They know what works for kids and what's best for kids, and that's why I love PBS.
What are you doing?
Possibilities. Your day is filled with them.
Reach up, energy in the fingertips, collapse.
TV, play Downton Abbey.
and PBS helps everyone discover theirs. Anytime, anywhere.
Up in the sky, you can see it.
PBS, we're with you for life.
PBS had a special on Pearl Harbor, and once Landon started watching the show about the Arizona, he completely became fascinated.
That's Donald Stratton, and that's me.
And then his Christmas wish this year was to meet Donald Stratton, one of the survivors from the Arizona.
So good to see you, buddy.
Everything that Landon has learned from PBS, it's immeasurable.
This is for you.
Thank you, big guy.
He is living proof of the effect that PBS has had on his life.
Firefighters and rescue workers are searching for bodies after a week of deadly California fires. Officials are hopeful that the worst of the fires are behind them. Paul Verkaman has the latest details from California.
As firefighters in California make progress on containing several wildfires throughout the state, the focus now shifts to the daunting task of recovery and identifying the victims. In Northern California, the Camp Fire has killed at least 56 people, as over 460 rescue workers and officials comb through debris, searching for human remains.
They've already have the capability of beginning to collect samples from the general public or people who suspect that a loved one may have perished in the fire.
It's the deadliest and most destructive wildfire in California history.
A week ago tonight, most of us went to bed not knowing that we would wake up in the morning to a fire that burns 55,000 acres, burns approximately 8,000 structures in the first 12 hours.
In Southern California, the Woolsey Fire, which started 7 days ago, is more than 57% contained. That fire has destroyed more than 500 structures, but with more favorable weather conditions expected, officials are optimistic that they have a handle on this blaze. And on Thursday, yet another new fire in Southern California, the Briggs Fire, just north of the Woolsey Fire near Santa Paula. More than 230,000 acres have burned through the state over the past week, and more than 300,000 people have been evacuated, as families are left to wonder whether they'll have a home to return to.
Right. Currently here in Athens, we've had a dreary and cold day throughout, as right now temperatures are at 35 degrees here in Athens, with those showers have been sticking around all day since about 8 o'clock to maybe even 5 o'clock early this morning. It is still cold, as we were still around 35 with a light breeze out of the east-southeast. Currently across the region it is 37 in Athens, 38 in Ironton, 38 in Ripley, and our cold spot over in New Martinsville over at 34 degrees. Not really fun with a cold rain here as we go through tonight. Looking at precipcast, we have the low pressure system moving up north across the northeast tonight, which will bring heavy snow across all places within Pennsylvania, New York, and Boston. But tonight, with this system moving off to the north, we will have a little bit of a chance of a snow as we get later on tonight, as those temperatures will run around 32 degrees, which give us a little chance of maybe a little bit of flakes tonight. Looking into tomorrow, we do dry up, but we do stay cloudy throughout the day as the upper levels just keep pushing cloud cover into our area. And going into tomorrow, it'd be the same thing, but high pressure moves into our area, but we still just keep that cloud cover around throughout the rest of for the start of our weekend, And looking at tonight, we do have those chance for flurries, but the chances end around midnight as the moisture of the system will move off to the north. Looking at tomorrow, we do get up to 42 degrees, but it will be windy throughout the day tomorrow, as we could have gusts up to 25 miles per hour around the area, which will make it feel like still what it was today. And looking tonight around the region, it will be in the lower 30s to upper 20s across the region, as our only cold spot will be up in Columbus, which we still will have those chances for snow showers later on tonight. Looking tomorrow, it'll be colder across the north, but warmer down the south, as we were getting a little bit of warm air into the area as another system makes its way through. Looking hour by hour tonight, the rain slows down by 8 o'clock, and we get a little bit of a turnover around 10 o'clock as we get around that freezing point. But as we get to midnight tonight, we stay cloudy, we stay dry, and it'll be around the freezing point. Looking at your bus stop forecast tomorrow, it'll be around 30 degrees, it'll be cloudy, the wind will start to pick up early morning throughout, and it'll be out of the southwest at 5 to 10, which with gusts up to 20 tomorrow. Looking at the next 7 days, excuse me, I went really fast, but the next 7 days, it'll be 42 on Friday, 45 by Saturday, but that's going to be our warmest times. But as we head into Thanksgiving next week, we still see a high of 50 degrees, which will be a little bit better throughout as we look into next week here, Ben.
Thank you, Jake. People across the country are mourning the loss of country music star Roy Clark. His publicist says he died at his home in Tulsa, Oklahoma. She says he died from complications of pneumonia. He was 85 years old. Clark was known for playing his guitar and banjo. He was also a host on the long-running TV series Hee Haw from 1969 to 1992. Clark made his first appearance at the Grand Ole Opry at age 17. The Country Music Association Awards took place last night in Nashville, hosted by country stars Carrie Underwood and Brad Paisley. The award show opened up with an emotional tribute from Garth Brooks to the 12 victims of last week's shooting in Thousand Oaks, California. The night also included a number of performances from plenty of other stars, as well as the audience being gifted some hot chicken, a classic Nashville meal, before hearing a performance from Kelsey Ballerini.
What is going on? I'm Ethan Sands. Last night, Ohio gave Buffalo a beatdown while the Bobbies have handled business on the court, and we won't forget about playoff volleyball. Next on Newswatch. And stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
This is a box that showed you a world beyond your own. It was just a box, but the world has changed, and so have we. And now the box can be almost any size or shape. And you decide what you want to explore. Anytime, any place. Break out of the box with PBS.
This is what we've all been waiting for. The postseason is finally here. Many teams that made it this far are ready to rock.
Yeah, it's a win or go home for the guys on the gridiron, but Gridiron Glory still has a few more weeks before we end our season.
Yeah, we'll have you covered through week 13, and there's still football to be played until then.
Our social media team will have you covered. Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, and YouTube content will keep you up to date.
So, through all the excitement, remember there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
WOUB is member-supported public television. Your contribution keeps WOUB available in your community. Become a member with a gift of $60 or more for access to stream more than 1,000 of your favorite PBS programs through WOUB Passport. Programs like Nature, Sherlock, and all episodes of Downton Abbey and Victoria. Pledge now at WOUB.org. And thank you.
Welcome back. I'm Ethan Sands. The Bobcats football took the smackdown to Buffalo yesterday. After last week's surprising loss to Miami, the Bobbies had a tall task against Buffalo, the team that's at the top of the MAC. But last night, the Bobcats embarrassed them in a 52-17 win. Nathan Rourke had over 200 yards and 3 touchdowns through the air. But A.J. Olette ran circles around the Bulls. He put up 196 yards on the ground, a simply dominant performance for him. Let's shift to the hardwood. The Lady Bobcats hosted their annual kids game this morning and gave them something to cheer about. They're off to a good start to get their 2018 season rolling as they picked up their second victory of the year against Binghamton. Sarah Hooks was putting up WNBA numbers, and she went 28-5 while shooting 64% from the field. Don't forget about Erica Johnson. She had 19-9-6 and added 5 triples too. Sheesh, these ladies will take turns leading their team this season. And the men's basketball team has another one on the schedule for the Jamaica Classic, this time actually in Jamaica. After taking down Campbell in the Convo on Monday, the Bobcats now look to USF and Montego Bay tomorrow afternoon. Both teams are 2-0 on the season, but the Bobcats are heavy favorites in this one. They're averaging 89 points through 2 games, and a large part of that is due to sophomores and the team's leading scorer, Jason Carter. He's putting up 20.5 points per game after pouring in 24 on 80% shooting against Campbell. Tip-off is at 4:30 tomorrow. You won't want to miss it. Ohio volleyball will be in action just a few minutes when they take on Northern Illinois in the MAC first round of the NCAA tournament at Miami University. Ohio enters the tournament as the 7th seed, Northern Illinois the 6th seed. For Ohio to win, expect huge performances out of senior captains Jamie Koziark and Katie Nelson. Ohio has played Northern Illinois once this season, when Northern came away victorious in 5 sets. Expect yet another close game this time around. Stop me if you've heard this before. The Cavs dropped a game again last night. Last night, the Cavs lost to the Wizards 119-95. While the Cavs struggled, rookie sensation Colin Sexton led all scorers with a career high of 24 points. This game drops the Cavs record to 2-12, which is an NBA worst. The struggle for the Cavs was protecting the rock on offense. They turned the ball over 24 times, and the Wizards scored 29 points off these turnovers. Now it's time for the look at the play of the day. This one comes straight out of Duke. Simple lob to Zion, right? You might think that. Wrong. Check this. Elevation, Zion's chin is rim level when he throws this down. Look at that one more time. Wow. And I'm Ethan Sands, and that's it for sports. Back to you.
Thank you, Ethan. The Akron Zoo says 2 wolves, part of a critically endangered species, have come to live at the zoo as part of a species survival plan. The red wolf is one of the world's most endangered wolf species. It's believed only about 60 wolves remain in the wild. Cleveland.com reports the wolf species were decimated by predator control programs. The 4-year-old brothers, Waya, which means wolf in Cherokee, and Mohi, meaning elk in Cherokee, came to Akron from Wisconsin. The Akron Zoo's original red wolf, Itabi, has been moved to the northeastern Wisconsin Zoo.
Tomorrow around the region, we'll be in the lower 40s here in Athens, but we'll be warmer in regions down south of us. Looking hour by hour looking at the 7-day forecast, it'll be 42 on Friday, 45 by Saturday, and we get another chance of rain by Sunday. But seeing as next week looks pretty nice and temperatures warm up on Thanksgiving to almost 50 degrees, which we need a little change about that right now as we deal with this cold positions, Ben.
Thank you, Jake. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thank you for watching. I'm Ben Schwartz. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org. Have a great night.